All right. So even though this isn't necessarily how I'm feeling, because I'm jumping up and down inside because I'm going to see Corey Henry tonight, but we're going to be talking about God. So this is as close to God as I could get.
Interesting.
Yes. So we are week 34 of What Did Prince Do This Week? And we got a lot of folks in the chat, so let's get this party started. We got Real Lana DJ first in the chat. May the funk keep us one with God. I love that, especially since we're talking about God this week. Thank you so much for that, Real Lana DJ, first in the chat. Welcome, April Watson from Tampa. We got Cassandra Bradley, the first AT alien, in the chat, not in the gym today. So I'm late to the party. Okay, you're not late. And we got H. Williams. I don't think we've seen you here. So welcome if this is your first time live. If not, my apologies. But welcome from Blackpool, UK.
Blackpool.
I like
the name of it. All right.
And we got Kimberly from West Fargo, North Dakota. This show makes my Saturdays. I love reading that. Thank you so much. And then we got Nick Felden from Denver. We got Christina from Minneapolis. We got Man Ray 10 there. We got Lee Christian in the house, yo. And we got Ronald Dagley Jr. We got our timekeeper in the house. Howdy, Kim. Hope you're well. We got Sister Charles. Happy Saturday from H-Town. We got Karan, Peace Purple Fan. We got Arlene. Happy Saturday from Canada. And we got Thomas Breeze. Love that name. I'm here for it. Got to get my button ready for. Heard a little love sexy. We got Chip and Sparrow. Still trying to catch up on Com 30. It's okay. And thank you so much for watching my Prince on Screen presentation. I've been kind of low-key about that. So I really appreciate you seeking that out. We got Mooches from Philly. Always love seeing Vanity. Thank you so much for your avatar. We got Purple Cat Confetti. Thankful for a great morning. Love that Purple Cat Confetti. Yes. And being here with y'all. Love that. We got Drea Dances in the house. It's a beautiful day in the shy. And yes, Dr. Claw.
This music, man, it's just like I walked into the club. I seen this chocolate thing standing on the bar. Hey, baby girl, you from around here?
Yes, indeed. That kind of music has inspired many a terrible ass poem. Yes, it has.
Some of us are here because of stuff like that.
Yes. So
you see that bubbling brown sugar over there?
Yeah.
Couple months later, Lord, what did I do?
Indeed.
We've all been there. We know.
We've all been there. That's right. We got Sakari in the house. Nice to be here live. Yeah, welcome. We have Mila My Heart popping in just for a bit today. That's okay. It's okay. Thank you for saying hello. We got Chris Bournet in the house. Thank you so much for always being here. We have Jesse. Yes, that's right. Love, thankful for being here with y'all. All the love and laughter. That's what we try to impart to the peoples is love and happiness. Okay. Make you want to. Okay. Femme Noir, Prince Style. I love that.
There you go.
And we got good afternoon, Purple Saints. It was so nice. Yes, it was so nice to see you at the Funk Jazz Cafe. 30 years of Funk Jazz Cafe. That's right. And yeah, we got a lot of, yes, it's all about Michael Dean. And then we got Audra, another AT alien. And yes, not bubbling brown sugar. That's right.
That thing.
Yes. And we got
Drink of that.
Yes, we need to take a drink. I'm going to do an Arthur.
There you go.
All right. And then we got Lee Christian says, giving me Melvin Van Peebles vibes.
Ooh.
All right.
Sweetback.
I was gonna say, right? Is that sweet? It's not that first scene from Sweetback, is it?
Whoa.
Lee Christian, we ain't talking about that first scene from Sweetback.
No,
Sweetback badass.
I don't know what you're talking about. What first scene?
Oh, what is going on up in here?
That's right.
That music, Angela, that music, see.
Yes. I think it's beautiful. It really is, but it's not the vibe I'm in right now. But I was like, when am I going to play this?
The vibe I'm actually in right now is I'm just getting up. It's a new edition. Any Heartbreak. What was the first single? It's not Sorry. And Ralph got the stirrups on. They doing the thing.
Somebody come through in the chat. I was listening to Prince.
Come on.
If it isn't love.
If it is, yeah. So here's my vibe. You know the part where Ralph, when he throw the water, he poured the water up, and he like sling his head, and the water splash on Ricky, and then Ricky like. That's what I'm on. I need to be on that energy, that Ralph splashing the water on everybody's, anyway, that's where my head is at.
I actually haven't seen that video, Michael.
You've seen that video. That's a classic.
Yeah, you've seen it.
You've seen it.
You think so?
It's like their video. It's like their own,
Yeah, you've
seen it. Stop.
You may not remember, but you've seen it.
Yeah, I'm not going to allow you to not say you're not going to say
that.
And what's really sad is when their TV movie came out.
Yes.
My grandson was 3. And we filmed him at the age of 3 because he learned that whole dance from the video. So it's actually on. It's on my YouTube. It's on my YouTube set. But it almost went viral. People saying if you let people make comments on it, it'll go viral for you. So I don't want my grandson going back. But he was 3 years old, and at 3 years old, he knew all the steps to the "If It Isn't Love" video. So
hilarious! Yeah. Wow. I don't know how we got here. My bad, but yeah, that's great.
I love that Purple Cat Confetti was listening to Old Friends for Sale. So we're kind of in a vibe. I don't know. Maybe I think it's God vibes. So yeah. And Kim is saying, stop it. That video is iconic, D'Angelo. You must have seen it. I'm going to be honest. I wasn't checking for nobody but Prince at this particular time. So I was like, skip, next, turn off. I mean, so I missed a lot, especially when it comes to hip hop and R&B. Like I was just like Prince.
You was just in the book of Prince. He wasn't hearing nothing else. Yes. I'm not mad at that. That's wild.
Hey, Prof. Duff was like, I know the difference between a Jerry curl and a perm. I don't want no Jerry curl.
Yes.
You keep your Jerry curl to yourself. Hey, Mike. Some dude walked up to it. If it is in love,
wow.
Come on, girl. She said, get your Jerry curl away from me. I'm waiting on the perm.
Lord. But it's all connected. That's Jam and Lewis. That's straight from the tree of Prince.
So have you not seen the video of them performing "Baby I'm a Star"?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, when you get a chance, they actually perform. I mean, early.
No, I Would Die for You, is it?
No, I mean, I Would Die for You. There you go. Yeah, they performed "I Would Die for You." I think on tour.
Back then, back
then.
Yeah, back then, like 84, like 85, 86, somewhere like that.
No,
yeah.
I was
don't remember I know we deviated for a second here, but yeah, people was on Prince heavy back then. Like I said, I always remember I went to see Africa Bambaataa show back then, 85, 84. And one of the biggest songs that Africa and them did at the show was When Doves Cry. Like rock.
Yeah.
And that was pure hip hop show, but everybody was Prince was the man back then.
And I can say I've seen more than my fair share of any shows, cause like after Prince, Monica rides for NE. So that no NE slander happens, because my wife will show her 57-year-old self up and she will punch you in the jaw around NE. So
lastly, I was it's funny. My daughter, my 8-year-old daughter, I don't know where she's getting this from. It's from one of these animated shows, but there's this song she'll play, and the very beginning of it is Candy Girls in it, but it's like intercuts with all of the boy band songs. And I'm hearing her, and I'm like, how do you, and she's singing, and one of the parts in the song goes, boom, doo, doo, da, da. And I'm looking like, what? I try to say, no, it go like this, because they don't do the whole thing. And she'd be like, that's not how it goes, Dad. Then it goes into some Backstreet or something. Somebody must know what I'm talking about. There's some song these kids are playing, and it is intercut with all the boy band stuff, with any Boys to Men. I just find it hilarious. So I say to say, like, man, that stuff, the tradition of that is still.
It's not one of them groups that's online that's like, because I've seen a one guy do it, and I've seen a group do it where they do mashups of boy band, the history of boy bands.
It might be. It's something on YouTube. I feel like it's one of these like CGI movie things, but I may be looking at something different. I don't know. It's also, they have it also intercut with shit. You don't know what they're watching, but you can hear it. As a matter of fact, I was in the car the other day. I give my daughter my phone because she wanna hear her own song. She's playing "Let's Go Crazy," but it's not Prince singing. It's like kids or something.
Wow.
Like what? I'm listening to. Are they gonna do the? All I heard, but they had that in there. I was like,
all right, yeah.
Anyway,
all right. Oh, and we haven't even gotten to housekeeping yet. We are on fire today. That's what I'm talking about. So let's get into it, because we're ready to get this thing rolling, because it already is. And it's week 34 of What Did Prince Do This Week? A very slow read of Duane Tudahl's Prince Studio Sessions book series through an interactive weekly online book club, as well as our Saturday salon, echoing the spirit of the Harlem Renaissance. All right. We're going week to week, not date to date. Follow the detailed schedule at this link QR code. And you do not need the expanded edition, but this is what we are reading. The blue one. That's right. And
I don't have that kind of choreography. I could never do the pat the head and rub your tummy. Pat the head and rub
you got it right there. You go.
I could never work it out. I could never figure out how to do it.
You need your Ralph water splash.
There you go.
So Kim is questioning what's in our mugs. So
podcast juice. That's what's in there. Podcast juice.
Just coffee. Just no coffee.
We got pot, and I'm also rocking coffee. So I have said this, I'm going to say this again. I have never drank even a glass of wine in my lifetime. I've never done drugs because I'm crazy enough as it is. I don't need any substances. All right. And Mila is saying like a kid's bop version, because I don't even know what a kid's
probably bop is. I think so. Something like that. I know what she's talking about. Yeah.
Yep. And then Theo is saying, I think Let's Go Crazy was in one of the Sing animated movies.
And I know that version. It wasn't that version. There's another one. There's another kid singing.
Wow. Okay. And then Clarissa saying, I love how the DNC, every time Minnesota was mentioned, Prince was played. Yes. All right. So let's see. These will be archived at Polysolid as well as at MDean. Please subscribe. I'm down on my knees. Like and help spread the word for What Did Prince Do This Week? And we have a hashtag. It is WDPDTW for Why Do People Dance This Weird?
Amen.
Yes. And we also have an email if you want to send us something. And the estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. And I know the estate isn't called the estate anymore, but I don't know what to call it, even though I think it's Paisley Park Enterprises, but I don't know how it also connects to Primary Wave. So I just keep it the estate because everybody should know what that means. So yeah. And I'm glad I'm in great company. Chris says I'm a teetotaler too. Nice to know there's another one of us out there. Yes, we don't need no drugs. We just need purple music. That's all we need.
What's a teetotaler?
Well, not partaking in stuff.
I never heard that phrase.
Yes. And then so we played Eric Leeds and Paul Peterson because we're all about Eric Leeds on What Did Prince Do This Week from their fantastic album. If you haven't listened to it in its totality, I'm hoping that you will do so because it's amazing. No words.
Does Eric please know we be pumping him up like this every goddamn week?
I don't, probably not. I don't know, but
cut that check, Eric. Oh, promotion. We got a street team like a mug out here every week.
Eric probably like, don't bother me with your downgraded princess.
Hilarious.
I have no time for your downgraded princess questions.
We'll go back and re-edit all these episodes. We stop playing. Shout out to Eric.
No, we love Eric. Eric makes me I don't know. His music is just so extraordinary. So we want to support Eric Leeds as much as we can. We want to give him his flowers now. I think that's really, really important.
Yes.
They're going to watch this 50 years from now. Somebody going to get up on Prince. They'll be like, man, Eric Leeds, he's like Miles Davis. They talk about him every week.
That's right.
Check this out. He have a resurgence or something.
Right.
That would be so amazing. I hope it happens.
50 years from now.
I hope it does. That's what we want. All right. So another reasons why I am so hyped up is today is Happy National Waffle Day. And I'm not lying, Michael Dean. I woke up this morning wanting a waffle, and I did not know it was Happy National Waffle Day until my husband was like, did you know what's happening? I was like, no. And so the spirit just called me because I love waffles. Yes, the waffle.
Waffle spirit.
So we don't have no Waffle Houses up north. So if you're down south, please go to the Waffle House for me today and get you a waffle dark and some hash browns scattered very, very, very well in honor of me. And that would be so amazing. So when I first, Michael Dean, when I first moved up north, which was 97, for probably until 97, until roughly 2016, whenever my mom came to pick me up from the airport, the first place we went to every single time was a Waffle House.
Really? Okay. Well, I've never been.
Yes, indeed.
I would probably lose my mind if I would. But see, I want ratchet Waffle House. I want 3 a.m.
That's the time.
Coming, and then I want height to break out. You know, thing jiggling over here. I want the full ratchet.
Right.
Give me some
and the fight to break out.
Yeah, I want all that. I want sisters back and clothes. I'm just sitting there eating. I'm like, oh, world star.
Yeah. My go-to, I get the same thing every time I go to Waffle House.
What's that?
The omelet and the patty melt.
Oh, okay. They
got a fire omelet. Waffle House has a great omelet. In fact, I will say this. Because for a long time, I was an omelet connoisseur. I don't know how the hell you become an omelet connoisseur, but I was an omelet connoisseur. And I would go to like fancy restaurants. I would go to big 5-star hotels. I would go all over the country. Waffle House probably got the best omelet in the country. So if you like omelets, check out the Waffle House omelet. So I'm an omelet and patty. In fact, I didn't know what the hell a patty melt was till Monica took me to Waffle House. And that is my go-to. Patty melt and omelet. That's it.
All right. So I want Michael Dean in particular. Please, please, please. You got to do this once you get off. You got to listen to this song called Waffle House by Burrell. It's on YouTube. It's on the accompany playlist. That's the full song. If you really want to get immersed in the song, it's amazing. But if you want to kind of get the experience of Waffle House, watch the accompany video he posted on TikTok. That's also you can get from the slide deck as well. So, and Jesse is saying, it's an amazing song, but he so captures the vibe of the Waffle House, so you'll get a sense of what you're missing. So everybody should check that out. And yes, that patty melt is superior, Jesse. I didn't know this. Kim is saying late night Waffle House is no more. They're not open all night anymore. What? I didn't know that. Oh my God, that's crazy.
That's the only damn good a Waffle House is for 3 a.m. What the hell? Talk about want to go to Waffle House in the middle of the damn day.
No.
Waffle House at 3 a.m. ain't nothing else open.
No,
Let's go over here and watch this fight and get something to eat.
Yeah, the world's not right.
Too volatile out there.
Michael, if I was a millionaire, the first thing I would do is sprinkle Waffle Houses all through the North and bring people up from the South to work them. So that everybody has an authentic experience.
Yeah, we don't want you Northerners messing up our Waffle House.
Interesting. we can't get the job. We can't. Maybe they could train us in it. You know. No, we got to import them in.
They have to be in your neighborhood for at least 5 years before we let you apply. You got to be in your neighborhood. 5 years.
I don't know how we got to this, but I think the closest thing I have to Waffle House. Well, I guess that's right. Okay. Well, maybe somewhere they're doing purple waffles. Maybe. There you go.
Yeah. Yes. So it seems like Castillo said that they were at one at 3 a.m. last weekend, and Chris is saying the one in Columbus are open 24 hours. That's actually Chris. So my aunt lives in Columbus, Ohio, and the last one I just ate at maybe 3 weeks ago was in Columbus, Ohio. So it like those are my two Waffle House stations for sure. All right. So we're talking about this because today is National Waffle House Day, and I love waffles. So that's the reason why we're taking this break. Because
my ego.
Yeah. Yes. For sure. Egos used to be better than they are now. Like back in the 70s, Egos were the best. But
I didn't know they were different. You are a waffle kind of.
Yeah, I am.
They are not the same.
They are not the same, Michael Dean. They are not the same. I'm telling you. All right. What did Prince do this week? What we know. Thanks, Anil. Again, week 84, the week 34, episode 85. We got 3 new songs. We got 3 studio visits total. And this is what we're going to be talking about this week. So we got God vocal, basic tracking on Sunday. And I remember Susan Rogers saying that Prince often recorded his spiritual songs on Sundays. So this tracks. So we got God vocal, basic tracking on that Sunday. We got God vocal overdubs and mix for the vocal, and then also recording of the instrumental on Monday. Then on Wednesday, we have more God vocal stuff, editing of Purple Rain and God Love Theme, the one that's in the movie. And then on Thursday, one of my favorite songs is Too Sexy, the vocal and basic track and mix by Sheila E., the B-side of Somebody Tell Me in the Chat to see who our Purple Peeps are, the B-side of what. And then on Friday, we have the official release of a song we've been talking about forever, and that is It Never Gets Old, Apollonia 6, Sex Shooter. And then I love the packaging during these days, and you get to see the Star Company down there at the bottom. So that was officially released in 1984 on the 24th. So yes. All right. So that's what we're going to be talking about this week in terms of what did Prince do this week as I try to find my mouse. There we go. And we're going to start off by reading about God. We're going to go to page 391, children. So let's open our books. And who wants to start off? Actually, I'll start off. And then let me have you guys something to see except the book. And all right. Sunday, August 19th, 1984. God vocal version. Basic tracking. Flying Cloud Drive Warehouse, Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Susan Rogers. And I'm going to skip the quote because I pretty much just said that. Prince had been rehearsing this version of God with the band earlier in the week and decided to actually record it in the studio. To set the mood for this session, he had the lights in the warehouse turned down and was playing this song by candlelight. I think that would have been beautiful to see. Unfortunately, every time he began a take, the equipment would fail. Susan Rogers described the mood. It was really, really difficult, and he was getting very frustrated. He was in one of his uncommunicative moods where he just wasn't speaking to me at all. I don't think he was mad at anything other than that technically the equipment wasn't working right and it was my responsibility to get it fixed. But I was doing the best I could, and he really wanted to record the song. It was after midnight before she was able to get the equipment working, and this time when she pressed record, the tape machine kept recording and the tape kept rolling. He tracked the piano and vocals for God in one take, closed the lid on the piano, and walked out without a word, ending the session.
Mm.
I had no idea what was going on in his head, confesses Rogers. It was just one of those days, and we had plenty of days like that, when he would come into the studio in a certain mood, when you knew he would so much rather be alone, but he needed somebody there, and I would try to make myself as invisible as possible just to facilitate getting whatever it was down on tape.
Mm.
And I'm going to, did you want to say something, Michael?
I was just as I think of that song and hearing, sort of his, I guess, mood during the recording, it would just be fascinating. Just to wonder what happened earlier in the day or before he came there, or you know what I mean. Just was he just in the mode of like, I'm feeling this song and I got to get it out, or was it influenced by something that was on his mind and the way he was feeling at the time? It's fascinating, because you never know. Well, I guess we'll never know, but.
Yeah, indeed. Rogers later explained to Minnesota Public Radio that at times like this, he could be really difficult to work with because he was under a lot of pressure. Unlike a lot of celebrities or other artists, he didn't relieve that pressure by taking drugs or engaging in bad behavior. He was able to take that pressure and let it be released slowly over time rather than one impulsive, angry burst. And we had to just let it pass. When it did pass, he was cheerful and funny, and in his heart of hearts, he was a warm and loving human being. That was always there. We could rely on that.
Hmm.
And I'm going to skip this a paragraph so you have something to read and go to status. This is the second time Prince recorded a song with the title God. This version, 4 minutes and 3 seconds, is technically the same number, but sounds very different than the instrumental track that was recorded on February 7th, 1984. Both songs contain identical chords, chord progressions, and I'm not going to go through those chord progressions. They're in the book. And the lyrics for today's version of God, Prince says, "Wake up, children, dance the dance electric," at 3 minutes and 34 seconds in the release version, a reference to a track he recorded earlier that week or last week. The vocal version of God would be released as the B-side of Purple Rain in all territories except the United Kingdom, which contained both the instrumental and vocal versions of God, which is the 12-inch I have, and I'll show it to you because it's one of my favorites. It is possible that Prince's vocals for God were not recorded on this date and were tracked on the following day. All right. So this is my copy of Purple Rain, the UK version. It's the cover. And you can see on the back, you have the long version of Purple Rain from the album, and then instrumental Love Thing from Purple Rain, and the vocal. And then I can't remember. Yeah, it is just black. It's not purple vinyl, but the 7-inch is purple vinyl. All right. Does anyone have anything to say? Let's just continue reading about God real quickly, and then we'll talk about God. So who wants to take? Michael, you take the next one. On Monday, August 20th, 1984.
All right. God overdubs mix. God new instrumental mix. Flying Cloud Warehouse, Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Susan Rogers. Quote from Prince: "I have always known that God was my creator, and that without him, boy, nothing works. It works to a point, and then it just kind of deteriorates. Entropy? Takes place. After leaving the session the previous day, more work still needed to be done to God. Keyboards, sound effects, and various vocal embellishments were added to the mix. A song named God had a special meaning for Prince on a very personal level. His legacy is the message and the inclusiveness of the music and the lyrics and the guiding principle of the spiritual side of life, recalls Matt Fink. He wanted to convey his own spiritual dedication to the Creator, and he wanted to make that clear to the public and persuade the public to believe in those kinds of things. Quote, I think this is Prince. Ultimately, spiritually, evolution is the axis on which inspiration and creativity spin, agreed Prince. There are so many songs that I've written and recorded. Sometimes it is hard for me to believe it all comes from one source. Status, the instrumental version of the newly recorded God, 4 minutes and 9 seconds, remains unreleased.
All right, Celie, you're next up. Page 393, because we're still reading about God. And just do the quote, the first paragraph, and then the status after you go through the stuff at the beginning.
You said do the quote or don't do the quote?
Do the quote, but do the God vocal version, all the stuff at the beginning first.
Okay. Inspiration comes from God. This is a quote. This is Prince, of course. Inspiration comes from God. That's the original source. And so to use your gift is in a creative fashion. That's the best thing you can do.
And then go back and read the date in the gray box.
Sorry about that. God vocal version, Purple Rain edit. God Love theme from Purple Rain. Sunset Sound Studio 3, 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. Booked 7 p.m. to open. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Prince, assistant engineer Terry Christian. It appears that plans were in place for the next single, and Prince traveled back to Los Angeles and scheduled some work at Sunset Sound to complete God. This Terry Christian speaking, quote, after Purple Rain, he got a lot more elaborate with the things he would bring down to the studio, remembers engineer Terry Christian. After the movie, he would fill the room with all sorts of things. There were Mardi Gras masks and stuff hanging around, candles. He got really into bringing his home to the studio, end quote. With the assistance of Christian, Prince added additional elements, including even more vocal flourishes to the track that was recorded on August 19th. A new edit of Purple Rain was likely created as well, and all of today's tracks were placed on 2 C60 tapes at the end of the session, the last 60-minute tapes. Go to status.
As you go, the tapes were sent to Bernie.
Okay. Tapes were sent to Bernie Grunman for mastering. The elements for the UK 12-inch of Purple Rain were collected during that session. Status. The UK 12-inch was released on September 10, 1984, and contained an exclusively edited version of Purple Rain, long version, 7 minutes and 5 seconds, the instrumental of God, 7 minutes 54 seconds, and the recent vocal version of God, 3 minutes 59 seconds. In the United States, an edited version of Purple Rain, 4 minutes and 5 seconds, was released as a single on September 26th, with the vocal take of God, 3 minutes and 59 seconds. It peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 4 on the Billboard Black Singles chart.
I think that's really interesting that it never got to number 1, that it only peaked at number 2 on the Billboard charts.
I think it's, and I know it doesn't seem that way, especially now. I remember in real time thinking that the release for the single was late. And I don't mean late in a bad way. I just remember when the single was released. I just remember thinking like, oh, that's right. This isn't a single. And then, and of course I was happy to go out and buy the record because that gave me, by this time, hey, it's going to be a B-side. And then what the B-side was going to be. Then you get there and it's God. So, but yeah, I remember thinking that by the time September hit, it was just a little late. So I think that, I think by then, everybody had the album. And so if everybody has the album and buying the album, it was most people wasn't into the B-sides the way the hardcore Prince fans. And I think that is what probably may have stopped it, is that most of us who had the album, or most of the people who had the album, didn't know about the B-sides. And the other thing I'll add is, in our little record store in Clarksville, Mississippi, and this is years before you could go and put the headphones on and listen to a song. In our little record store, the guy would play the record for you. And So I remember, and I have no idea why, because this usually wasn't the case, because I would spend my lunch money on records. And so I remember going to get the single, and for whatever reason, my mama was with me. And my mama was like, you know, and we've always told her, you know how my mama felt about Prince at the time. And so my mama saw God on the back. She like, what is that? What is he talking about? And I was like, oh, okay, here we go. So I said, well, Mommy, if you want to hear it, because the guys, and so the guy put it on. I remember hearing the first note of God, thinking, this is different. Like that was the first, like when I heard that first, I remember that dude put that needle. Oh, okay. Oh. And I really got scared because I was like, hey man, turn off. I don't need my mama tripping. I don't need my mama.
Yeah.
But and you know, he put it back in his. He said, "You gonna buy it?" And I bought it. But I remember that just hearing it and just how different it was. That's the first. And I want to be clear. Not that it was bad. Not that I didn't like it.
Right.
I was just like, this dude is different, and I'm here for it. Anyway, I'll shut up.
No, I think you bring up a good point too. That's not to be missed. Is that everything that when you first thought of Prince back then, you know, a song like God is not the first thing that you're thinking of. You know, you're thinking of, this is Prince when, like you said, your parents didn't want you listening to Prince. You know, he had that now, not my babe. You know what I mean? Like, let me see what this is about first. You know, that's how Prince came off. Like, you know, I was still under my mom's supervision. So I couldn't just go see Purple Rain. She had to go take me, or, you know what I mean? Or my mom had to take me to the store to buy that because it was, you know, it would be like, you know, I'm not comparing them musically, but it would be like whoever the artists of today who is not, you don't think of them doing some Christian stuff. You think of them kind of borderline on some ratchet type behavior. You know, if you don't really know what it is, like, oh, that's some sexual stuff. So it'd be like, I guess if Megan or something had a song called God, all of a sudden you'd be like, what?
Right, exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to remember, this is early Prince when he was still Rude Boy, is what people sort of thought of him. So that's a big deal for him to have a song like that. I could see why that's on a B-side and not on the album, because I think alone that title would draw so much attention to, well, how was he got us? Y'all putting this out, you know, not knowing what it is. So it's actually, as I'm thinking about it, him recording that and who we thought he was at that time, I could see how that's a heavy thing for him to lay that out to the public. Like, nah, this is what time I'm on. Actually, I know y'all been seeing me do all the, you know, the orgasm guitars, but you know, I'm on this. It's just interesting, you know, when you think about it.
And I'll tell you something else that just struck me when we were reading this. Because, you know, we all got our playlists, and, you know, we all listen to the albums, how we listen to them. And as I tell people, the way all my playlists are, I listen to the whole album, and then on that same playlist, any of the B-sides and remixes, and then songs that weren't released. I have been listening to the Love Theme instrumental for so long, I forgot it wasn't released. And I have to, and sometimes I have to go back and remind myself that there are songs that we take for granted, particularly for those of us who were, if you were like bootlegging like by 88, 89, like that's when I started getting bootlegs around 88, 89. There are songs that you have to be reminded, hey, this wasn't officially released. And so when they talked about the Love Theme from God, the instrumental, which a lot of us love, like I think Jesse put it in that he talked about how much he loved it. I love that. But I, again, just reminded, like, damn, that is not a release song, right? And how many of us, if you go through your playlist, have songs that you forget was not a release song? All right, that's it.
Yeah, you just real quick, you make that's such a great point, because God was kind of like one of those first, was one of those songs that you heard, a music that you heard by Prince, but it was kind of hard to get. Like, he was like that's so great. What is that? Like when you see it in the movie, then you realize, oh, that's on a B-side or something. Like, God, that was fantastic. You know, the same way I think of like Alexa de Paris, I believe is the song. It's one of them. It's like he can do that type of stuff. Like, it's just it's great instrumental stuff that is fantastic. That it seems like it's just an ancillary thing, but it's like, yo, that would be a head buster if you put the attention on that, you know. And so this was kind of the first time you kind of getting one of those types of songs. I guess How Come You Don't Call Me might sort of fit into that a little bit too. Now we're kind of getting into the B-side conversations, but yeah, fantastic instrumental work. Yeah.
So a couple things. I mean, so it was released on the UK version, but not the US version.
Right, not the US version.
Right. So that's the one that, because I just showed you the UK version. It had both on it, but in the US it did not. And two people beat me in the chat about what I wanted to say, and Audra was the first one who beat me. The first time I heard solo, it reminded me of God. So for me, God was solo before solo existed. And it's just like a beautiful example of how amazing a vocalist that Prince really is, and what he could do with his voice, and that he didn't really need a lot of instrumentation to carry a song. But I really love this comment from Dr. Claw. I feel if you get off at the God exit and go 10 miles and turn right, you end up at solo. That's right. I really love that. So thank you so much for that. And yes, and Chris Bornay is agreeing. And yes. So again, I know some of you guys are coming in late. This is the original, well, my UK version of Purple Rain, and on the UK version, you get both the instrumental as well as the vocal. So, and I bought this in real time. And when you were talking, Celie, you know, I also use my lunch money, but my mom didn't know I was using my lunch money. So I tried to buy records when my mom wasn't looking. So she would have never gone into the record store with me, because I didn't want her to be. She did ask me at one point, where are you getting all this money? And I just like looked around. So, and she only found out since 2016, like I can't remember when she found out. It was the only time she was like, oh, okay.
Well,
yeah.
That's such a, where you getting all this money from?
There you go. What the hell you doing?
Yeah.
And I know what my income tax say.
Where's all this stuff coming?
Income tax say.
Yeah.
You better not be out there doing what I think.
Exactly, because that's what she was thinking. Oh. All right, so that's a mama for you. But you know, you do what you have to do, because for me, like, Prince's music was definitely more important than eating at that particular time. All right, so we're going to turn to our books, and we're going to go to 395, and I'm going to read about one of my favorite songs of all time, and that is Too Sexy. All right, so Too Sexy, basic tracking vocals, unknown studio, but probably Sunset Sound, producer unknown, but likely Sheila E., artist Sheila E., engineer unknown. Those first couple of years of Prince felt to me like the kind of physical and mental training that an Olympic athlete must have to put herself through. Sheila E., love that quote, especially since we're in Olympic time right now. Sheila E. recorded Too Sexy during the session. Prince's participation is unlikely. There has been a lot of speculation about his involvement in the recording of the track, and there are many who feel this was a Prince song that he simply gave to Sheila to mix. But the reality is that there may have been very minimal, if any, involvement by Prince. Although parts of the song sound like a faster version of Prince's 1981 track Controversy. Thanks, Michael.
Oh, did that play that?
Yeah, I love that. It came at the best time, because it was Mickey music. I'm so happy that you played that, though. I love the way that song starts. That and that okay. It is listed as being composed by Sheila E., Michael Miko Weaver, Michael Miko. I always thought his name was Miko. I didn't realize it was literally Michael Weaver. Stephen Steph Birnbaum and Benjamin Benny. I can't pronounce that, so I won't. Birnbaum played guitar. R played bass. Weaver was on rhythm guitar, and Sheila was on drums and percussion. That makes so much sense, you know, in terms of Miko on the rhythm guitar, Weaver came up with the title of the song, meaning Miko. If Prince had been involved, it would have likely been named number 2 Sexy. Rather than being featured on one of her albums, the track would be relegated to a B-side for Sheila E. Now, one of the things that I love, and I have, this is one of my favorite covers of all time of any 12-inch. I don't know, it's something about it, even though it's very 80s with like, I call it like the lipstick smear or the paint smear, whatever you want to call it. But I love the way she looks on this and how sparse the cover is. And you can see that it is the B-side to the Belle of St. Mark. And you got side 2 with Too Sexy. But what I loved is that Sheila also had B-sides, for the first couple records. I can't remember if she had one for the third record or not. And I thought that was just so cool. And we also got, like B-sides for Madhouse. So as long as the B-sides were popping, I was just in heaven. This is another indication that Prince had very little to do with the number. Any sales from the A side would be mirrored on the flip side. So if Prince wasn't involved, all the sales for this composition went directly to those involved in writing the track. This was a way that Prince kept those around him making a little extra money. Too Sexy is basically an instrumental that features Sheila repeating the title phrase in the most seductive way possible. It also contains several stabs and multi-hit sequences that were common for Prince. So the track was likely inspired by rehearsals for jams on songs like Baby I'm a Star while prepping for the Purple Rain tour. The song ends with the sound of the record stuck in the run-out groove at the end of a final 45. This is similar to a discarded ending that Prince had considered for the 12-inch of America a month earlier, except in that case, it would have been the sound of the tape running out instead of the record. Status, Too Sexy, 5 minutes and 7 seconds, was released as a B-side of the Belle of St. Mark. Now, I wonder, Michael, if you can play it since you have it, because I don't think
it's
yeah, I don't think it is. So
give me one
hit us.
second.
You got it. And D68A is saying Prince only live performance at First Avenue.
You hear that?
Yes.
Something sexy but not dirty. You know we got no problem. Okay.
This is a business.
All right, that ain't
Michael Dean remix.
I like this.
It's hot.
Yes, Morris, it's hot. I can see Prince in the studio. Acting like it ain't nothing.
It also kind of got that sugar wall thing too.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah, you're right. I could see like Melvin Riley in them. Oh, Sheila.
Don't let Brother Turnbull hear that.
I don't know if you guys heard that, but she did that I like Prince would do. I thought that was really cool.
It's kind of OT with note for note.
Okay. This is Prince. Yeah, this is this is Prince. Man, I need to get me a Jerry curl wig.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll whip that out. You know it's put extra water on it. So when it get on the lens.
Get you a members only jacket to go with it.
Yeah, man. I have my collar stained like.
And make your soul glow.
There you go.
All right.
All right. So who wants to read the next part about Too Sexy on page 396, Thursday, August 30th, 1984, with the asterisks? Because there's two.
Read it.
All right.
So that's Too Sexy Mix.
Mm-hmm.
Sunset Sound Studio 3, 12:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Booked lockout. Producer Sheila E. Artist Sheila E. Engineer Peggy Mac. Leonard. Quote by Sheila E. I consider myself a musician much more than I consider myself a female pop vocalist or whatever it is they call me. It is unclear whether Prince attended this session. His name signature is absent on the daily work order for the mixing session, and there has been no verification that he participated, although any mix for one of his artists would eventually have to be approved by him. So even if he didn't attend the session, he would have been given a cassette tape for review and for his notes. Sheila E. was listed as producer, and she signed her name at the bottom of the sheet, exercising another of her talents by writing her signature backward, as if she was signing her name in the reflection of a mirror. Damn, that's different. 2 C60 tapes were created from the session. Peggy McCarthy was married earlier in the month and is credited as Peggy McCarthy, Peggy Mac. I'm sorry. Yeah. Peggy McCary was married earlier in the month and is credited as Peggy McCary, Peggy Mac, and Peggy Leonard interchangeably in studio documents. They are all the same engineer.
All right. So Sheila does not sign her name backwards anymore. But when Sheila E. first came out as Sheila E., I loved it so much that I started writing in my journal backwards. And to this day, I can still read stuff upside down and backwards because I did that for quite a while. So I had an opportunity to actually meet Sheila. I want to say for her second album, because I had done this pastel painting of her. And I told her, I was like, you can keep it. And if you're going to keep it, you can keep it. Like if you're not just going to throw it away, or you can just sign it for me. And she actually kept it. So, I mean, I don't know if she still has it, but she like signed one of her studio portraits for me backwards, like all her drumsticks at that time, because I went to several shows and was able to get some drumsticks. Her signature was backwards. And I don't know when she stopped doing that, but I wanted to cry because that was so important to me that she just used to write her name backwards. I just thought that, I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing. You know, I'm a teen. I was like, you know, this is what's up. So yeah, that was really special to me for a very, very long time, but she no longer does it. All right. That's a good question, man. Right. I never knew why she signed her name backwards. If I ever got an opportunity to talk with her, that would definitely be one of the questions I would ask, why she signed her name backwards and why she no longer does that. So yeah. And
never mind.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, it's just very. I'm saying this in a great way. Very interesting. Like I can imagine being Sheila E. like that early. Like you're coming in, you have this guy Prince who just the ultimate cosign. He's the hottest thing in the world, and he's like so invested in your project and in you. Like, and you know what I mean? Like that she just has that push behind her, and the songs are, you know what I mean? Like she got the top of the line, you know, these are Prince songs, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they're like great. And she's like trusted to be in the studio with, he's not there. And you know what I mean? Like she just the heir apparent to it. It's a very interesting thing. And then the fact that she has these albums, but then she steps aside. Well, actually, I know. Bear with me. She's able to star in a movie. You know what I'm saying? It's such a big thing at such an early in your career, but it's a movie that's, for the culture was the big thing at the time. Crush Groove was a big deal, right? Like you sort of bridging the gap between R&B and hip hop. And then as things are going good for you, you decide that I just want to play drums for this man. Let me put my stuff to the side. I want to be a part of this. That's fascinating to me. A very fascinating career, and her place in all of this.
Yes. So thank you so much, Christina. We are reading pages from next week. So Christina's like, we are going too fast. You're absolutely right. So because we went from August 23rd.
Christina's like, hey, you nerds, cut that shit out. Ain't nobody trying to do no extra homework. Right. Damn nerds that showed up doing extra work.
Christina's like, stick with the waffles, guys.
There you go. There you go. Go back to the Waffle House. Try to do no extra damn reads. Bunch of nerds. Teacher, it's time to go, teacher. What a damn time, teacher. You bet.
All right. Okay. So absolutely, you are absolutely correct, Christina. I'm just too excited. It was the waffles. That's what's
blame it on the waffles.
I'm gonna blame it on the waffles. In fact, I need to make sure I'm not even going to show the deck because I'm sure it's wrong because I'm just all too excited. All right. So what we're going to do is we are actually going to skip to the music break because we have so much to talk about this week. And we're going to go to that part. What were you going to say?
Can I say one thing about something that came to my mind with the remix?
Yeah.
I was watching, no, I wasn't. I was perusing and I remember something that I literally had not remembered since 1989. I had forgotten that Prince did the remix for James Brown and Aretha Franklin single, Give Me Your Love. And I had forgotten that they had done the remix to that single. It was and the single was on both Aretha and James Brown's album. But the single and I was just floating around YouTube. What was I doing? No. I was watching the narrator Michael Walden interview on. So I'm glad you're about to talk about the foreign exchange. I was watching the narrator. I always get his first name wrong. Narrator what Michael Walden interview. And by the way, if y'all guys haven't seen that interview, you forget that he was part of the tripod of the 80s. It was Michael Jackson, it was Prince, and it was a narrator, Michael Walden. And he talked about Prince remixing that single. And I was like, do I have that in my damn list? And I went back and I scrolled back. I was like, I damn sure do got that. And I had forgotten about it and put it on. So anyway, nothing when we talk about these remixes. There again, stuff you have in your collection that you forget you have in your collection. So if you haven't heard that, or if I went and got it and played it out, and I was on that, damn, they should release this remix before they release the single. And it's not that the single is terrible, but it's and I'll end on this. That remix, I gotta look up the date. That remix, I'm saying, is the official end of the New Power Soul sound. So the remix, so go listen to the remix.
What year is this?
89. Now, here's why I say that. For me, the New Power sound, the New Power Soul sound is the sound that goes with the band that our brother Harold Pride named the Band With No Name. So for me, the Band With No Name is essentially Sign of the Times, Love Sexy, Batman. Like that's essentially the Band With No Name. This remix comes out, and when you listen to that remix, the Graffiti Bridge sound is not the same sound of the New Power Soul sound. That's a different sound. Additionally, of course, Diamonds and Pearls the next year is not the New Power Soul sound. So the New Power Soul sound that I'm saying is Sign of the Times, Love Sexy, and Batman, I think that it culminates and ends with Prince's remix of that James Brown, Aretha Franklin, so that when you get to Graffiti Bridge, it is no longer, there it is right there. There's like, give me your love. There it is. So check it out. I really love that remix. But that's what struck me was, man, you could almost mark a line in the sand to go, this is where the New Power Soul sound ends. He's experimenting and tinkering with Graffiti Bridge, and part of that experimenting in Graffiti Bridge gets to transition to the Rock and Rio show. And then by the time you end with the Rock and Rio show, you get the full birth of the NPG and the new sound that is Diamonds and Pearls. That's it. I'll shut up.
So I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit, Celie.
Okay.
Like, for me, the Band with No Name is actually, it's Sign of the Times in terms of, like the tour, because they really weren't on the record. Love Sexy and the Black Album.
Okay.
Because like Batman was essentially Prince solo.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned. So that would be like how I would do that.
No, I'm with you on that. That makes more sense. That makes sense to go Love Sexy, Black Album, Love Sexy. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then I wanted to ask D68A, where you're saying there's a live version of Too Sexy. Is that the show that you posted, which was, see if I can find it in the chat. Is this the one you're talking about from October 25th, 1984? Is that what you mean? That Too Sexy is from there? Can you let me know? I would love to know. All right. So yeah, hold on a second. I haven't listened to this in a long time. And it was actually released on Arista Records. And it says James Brown, courtesy of CBS Records, 1989, like Celie said. And I actually paid $20 for this back in the day. So that was a lot of money when I didn't have no money.
And the little tidbit on that is James Brown was disappointed, not mad, but disappointed, because he did not know that Aretha Franklin had already sung her parts. So he thought they were going to be actually performing together. And so he was kind of a little bummed out that he didn't get to sing his parts with Aretha Franklin. That's it.
Wow, this is all new to me. I got to check this out.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find it. I'm sure it's on the YouTube somewhere. I'll add that to the accompanying playlist, as well as hopefully the show that D68A is talking about, to hear the live version of Too Sexy, because I would love to hear that as well. So, okay, we're going to get into our music break. So, again, we got a lot to talk about. So, our purple fam, if you don't know, is Nicolay. And in case you don't know how deep purple fam that Nicolay is, I'm going to tell you. But there is a very amazing episode of Questlove Supreme with the Foreign Exchange. And for those of you who don't know, Foreign Exchange is Nicolay and Fonte, and they actually met on the OK Player discussion boards in the lesson section specifically. And I was so great to hear. It was so great to hear Nicolay say that he only frequented the lesson section on OK Player, because that's the only section that I frequented as well. It's a really great interview. And so I was just so happy to see Nicolay, get his props and everything. And for those of you who may not know who Nicolay is, I put all of his appearances at the symposia and our special events in the accompanying playlist. Nicolay joined us for the Diamonds and Pearls. I really wanted him to join us for Come, but I knew he was super busy and I'll tell you why in the next slide. But he joined us for Sexy MF, and actually, that's one of my favorite conversations, Celie, that you moderated, because you guys talked about the Act 1 and Act 2 tours on the Sexy MF, and Nicolay went really hard into that one. And then he also joined us for the Welcome to America virtual celebration. And one of the videos that I have on my YouTube. I don't get a lot of numbers. Sometimes I do. I think the largest numbers I have is for the Betty Davis Symposium, which is in the 5 figures. I can't remember what it's up. But I'm really surprised that there is a live commentary of Prince's Dirty Mind show with not only Andre Simone, not only Vernon Reid of Living Color, but also Nicolay and Jason Orr from Funk Jazz Cafe, and it only has like 1,000 views. So I think it's a really amazing conversation because one, the Rich Show by Prince for the Dirty Mind era is really amazing. So I am going to make a special request, if you don't mind. It's in the playlist. You know, just do some thumbs up, and if you have some time, give it a watch, because I think it should have more views than that, because we're talking about a living legend, well, actually multiple living legends, Andre Simone, Vernon Reid, Nicolay, and Jason Orr having a conversation about one of the greatest shows that Prince ever did, which was the Ritz in New York City for Dirty Mind. And then in addition to that, Nicolay joined us not for 1, not for 2, not for 3, not for 4, but for 5 consecutive Saturdays when we discussed the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe Super Deluxe release. So I would definitely check that out, and especially maybe revisit your Sign of the Times Super Deluxe if you haven't pulled that out in a minute.
Just to say, that was 5 weeks of awesomeness. That was. I mean, all the symposiums, everything was always great. But I will admit, and Brother Dean, I don't know. Look here, it got free. It was a free for all. People was coming up in there with their positions and what they needed to say and had to say, and it was wonderful. It was let it all hang out 5 weeks in a row. So yeah, so if you guys hadn't seen those 5 weeks, and look here, and Nicolay was not at a loss of words on anything he felt you needed to know about Sign of the Times. So,
yes, and what's really special for that sequence, because we called it the after salons, because we had like the Sign of the Times virtual celebration proper, but then we had the after salons, and on the very 5th one, Wally came out of nowhere and joined us, and that was such an amazing conversation that we had with Wally just out of the blue, and I'll never forget that, and I cherish it very much. So definitely check that out. Yeah.
Is that the one? And I may be mixing them. Is that also the one or part of that when Brother Jules joined us? Okay, so he joined us at another thing. Okay.
Yeah, no, not that one. And the last one was for the Dirty Mind 40 Grit, which we talked. Oh, and for the 1 + 1 + 1 is 3. I can't remember which panel he was on, but he's been with us a lot. Because at first I was like, oh, he's been with us maybe 3 or 4 times. We're like, no, he's been with us a lot. And I really love talking to Nicolay as a Prince fan because his knowledge goes deep, 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 deep. And I'm with Zakia. I wish that Wiley's book had distribution. I have my copy. I don't know if I have it in here with me. It's actually my favorite Prince book in terms of, if you take away Duane's books, which I think are really important, in terms of the people who were in the trenches with Prince, it's my favorite book. Wiley's is. So I'm sure you could probably find some copies online somewhere, but I think they're getting like very, very expensive because it wasn't out for very long. So another reason why we want to celebrate Nicolay, and I cannot believe it has been 20 years since Connected was released. And I'm going to tell you, this is when I first found out about Nicolay. And this is the only hip hop album I have ever played and never left my rotation for 2 years solid. And the only other hip hop record that did that was JD's Slum Village. So Connected, I really connected with Connected. And that's the reason why I was just so happy to find out that Nicolay was a Prince fan, because he was one of my favorite producers. And my favorite song off of Connected is Von C's. There's this line in Von C's, and the rapper is Von P. And he says something like, ace every master course without a syllabus, watermark my heart, You can't get as real as this. I just love that. I don't know, maybe it's because I was a professor, but I was like, oh my God, that is such a cold line. So yeah. And yes, Des Dickerson's book is really good as well. Yes. But I really love Wally's book. It's Des's book. It's great. I have that as well. Yes, we got some Des Dickerson love. We love them all, but Wally's the one for me. Okay. So, and if you haven't, make sure you listen to Connected. I put Von C's in the accompanying playlist, but you should definitely listen to the entire album. And if you get to the slide deck, and you can get to the slide deck from the website, which is bookclub.polishsolid.com, and it's, the slide deck's at the bottom. If you click on the image, it will take you to Foreign Exchange Bandcamp, because they just re-released a double CD for those of you who like to purchase music like myself, where it has the original album and all the instrumentals on CD. So I love this album. If you haven't checked it out, please do. So, I mean, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is a great album. Obviously, it's a classic. It's just my own personal opinion. I'm telling you what I did in real time, which is Foreign Exchange Connected never left my personal playlist, because I really connected with the production, which was essentially Nicolay. So, and you know, we talk. I think we had this conversation before, Celie, about just because you love one thing doesn't negate your love for another thing. Right. Because I went to go see the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, her concert probably 3 times. Like, I saw it at NJ Pack. I went to go see it at Jones Beach here, and I think I went to go see it. So it's not that I don't love Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. It's just that I connected, never left my rotation for 2 solid years, and I am not lying. That was not the same for Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. That Thing, which is I used to play that on repeat. I used to love that song, but yeah, that's just me. Yes, I would love for Jill to write a book. I love that Baby Your Trip and a Half would be a fitting title. I hope it does. And Panic Survivor says, longtime OK player here, was there since the beginning. Questlove's Voodoo Tour Diaries before he opened the site in 1999, 2000.
I remember those days.
Yes.
You message board people.
Angie.
Yes. And was it the PPML? That's the one that I was on. Wasn't it PPML? Like,
yeah, remember that too.
Yeah, that's the one. Because I was never on AIM. I was anti-Microsoft. But okay. And then David Love says I need to get Ded's book, Brown Mark and Morris Day.
Well, 2 of those 3 are, yeah, you can get 2 of those 3. Dez's is out of print, but the other 2 are still in print.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. All right. So definitely give love, you know, like, just show him some love on the interwebs, you know, Nicolay, just say, you know, give him some likes and stuff for Connected, and definitely listen to it if you haven't listened to it, because it is an instant classic. I really do think so. And this is before.
And I just say, and watch that interview, because the interview on Questlove Supreme is as much a great archiving and documentation of OK Player as it is of the Foreign Exchange. You get a 2-for-1 deal. And if you were somebody like me, like, other than Prince, I didn't do much technology. So if it didn't have anything to do with Prince directly, I wasn't, you know, I did a post in the newsletter a couple of while back that everything for me technologically was driven by Prince. And so I kind of knew what OK Player was, but I never got on it. But to hear about it, and to hear about how it connected people and jump-started careers, it's a really good it's a really good interview to watch. I'll shut up.
I don't know why. I just decided to look up Des Dickerson on Amazon, and it's going for $1,000.
$1,000.
I don't know if that's gonna sell. Yes, Kenneth, Sheila E. has written a book. It's called Beat of My Own Drum. Let me see. Let me do that real quick for you. Sheila E. Beat Drum. This is the cover. I think you guys can still see what I'm looking at.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, the beat of my drum, the beat of my own drum. It is co-written with Wendy Holden. I'm not going to say anything bad about Sheila, and it has nothing to do with the book per se. It's just that I am a reading snob. Like, I'm a bibliophile. I love books. I read a lot of books, and it's not the content that irks me, it's the writing of the content. I don't know, Sheila, Celie, have you read Sheila's book?
No, I haven't had a chance.
And I was shocked that she had a co-writer, because they should have helped with the writing.
Let me tell you, as someone who has worked there, so I have a book. Well, I have co-write a book titled "Brother Hollis: The Sankofa of a Movement Man," and it is by a Mississippi civil rights icon. He is the only Mississippian who worked for SNCC. He was a field secretary for SNCC. For those who don't know, SNCC is the student.
Yeah, I was going to explain what
SNCC is the Southern Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And just so you know, when you see all those things in the 60s, all those boycotts, all those sit-ins, that's SNCC. That's not the NAACP. People always think that that's Martin Luther King. And no. Those sit-ins and those people getting food and stuff poured all over them, that was SNCC. And so one of the field secretaries for SNCC was from Mississippi, and I helped him write his book. Now, I'll tell you how serendipity works. 10 years before I even considered that, I got to know Quincy Troop, who co-wrote Miles Davis's book.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I just asked him, I was like, because Miles Davis's book is always in my top 3. The other 2 changed. And so I asked him, I said, hey, man, how does your book sound so true to Miles Davis? Because if you've ever read Miles Davis's autobiography, it sounds like he talks. Mm. And Quincy Troop said something to me that came to fruition 10 years later when I was helping Hollis. He said, man, my only job, he said, I had 2 jobs. Let Miles tell his story so it sounds exactly like him, and to check the dates so that we don't get anything wrong. Mm. And I think that what happens is when you have these co-writers who look at themselves as something probably more important than the artist whose story they're helping telling, there becomes a fight in the language. And that fight or difficult in the language comes from that writer, that co-writer, projecting onto the story or projecting onto the narrative in a way in which they are interjecting themselves into that person's writing, if that makes sense. And so that's usually the problem, is people don't understand that co-writing a book or being the person shepherding the person, your only job is to make sure that nobody knows that you are shepherding the book. Mm. Your only job is to make sure the biggest compliment I've ever gotten from Brother Hollis is people walk up to me and go, man, it sounded like Hollis was reliving the civil rights movement in my living room. Mm. That's because I got my ass out the way and made sure that Hollis Watkins' story was told. So I think a lot of that has to do, and so it frustrates me a lot of times when artists either have co-writers pushed on them by the publishing company or choose someone because they themselves may feel insecure about writing it, and they then don't they don't feel at power or empowered to say this doesn't sound like me or this is not my story. Mm. So I think that's probably what you're hearing here, is that, I'm sorry, something popped up in it on my thing, that there's a tension there between the co-writer and that yes, shout out to Kwame Ture. And Brother Jesse, if you ever, Hollis talks a lot about at the end of how SNCC ends and how Kwame Ture got a bad rap for how SNCC ends. And so I really love that we were able to put in the book that Kwame Ture got a bad rap on how SNCC ended. I'll shut up.
So there's a lot of love for Maite's book in here. And I think despite the content, again, I'm talking about, and when I was talking about Sheila, I'm not talking about the content of Sheila's book. I'm talking about how it was written, the words that are used to describe what's going on. I think Maite's book is beautifully written. So if you haven't had an opportunity to read some good writing, I think Maite's book, and it doesn't appear as if she has a ghostwriter. So I could be wrong, but it's really a beautiful book. And Kenneth says that, yeah, Maite's book is on CD, and Maite reads her book herself, which is what I really wanted Morris Day to do. I really still want Morris to go back and read his own book. That would be like so incredible.
Can I add one other thing to that?
Sure.
For anybody thinking about writing, whatever it is you're thinking about writing, and I'm hoping that people associated with Prince who may see this, sometimes your voice just needs an editor, not a co-writer. And I think a lot of people don't understand. They feel like, well, I need a co-writer. No. What you just really need is an editor. What you really need is somebody to dot I's, cross T's, say, hey, this is misspelled, or you don't want to say that. You don't necessarily need a co-writer. And I think a lot of people, and I know, like, as someone who's written books and who's an English, former English teacher, and this is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. You don't need a co-writer. A lot of people don't need co-writers. What you simply need is somebody to help you make sure that what's in your head is being communicated on page. And I use it, Miles Davis. I shut up after using it. Miles Davis has a phrase that I still use today. Miles Davis said artistry is about hitting or missing. Hitting means you have an idea in your head, and what you get on the page, what you get on the record, if you get that idea down, that's the hit. If you don't get that idea down, that's a miss. And so all you need to do is find somebody who's good at grammar and spelling, who's also maybe willing to do some research to check your facts. You don't necessarily need a co-writer. So if there's somebody else in the associated with Prince who wants to tell their story, you have everything you need to tell your story, and then just go get a professional editor. I'll shut up.
And Web Diva 3000 agrees with you. And Chris Bournet, I'm trying to be as clear as possible. Chris said Sheila had to cram a lot into her book because she had a career before and after Prince, which I absolutely agree. And I am not saying that Sheila's book is bad. The content is amazing. I'm literally saying the grammar, the editing needs some finessing. That's all I'm saying. So it's just that and Celie can relate to this, as a professor, when you have to read a lot, like I have to read a lot of thesis papers, when you get something that's poorly written, it's so difficult to get through it because you have so much stuff you need to be reading. It's just that the better written something is, the easier it is to read. So you have to understand, I'm coming from a professor's point of view. And again, I love Sheila. So everybody should know that. So it's no diss on Sheila at all.
And I'll just add this. This is one of my favorite, you made me think about this, is one of my favorite quotes about writing. Easy reading is damn hard writing. Let me say it again. Easy reading is damn hard writing. If something is easy to read, it's because the writer worked diligently on making it that way. If something is difficult to read, it's because they didn't put in the work to do that. So always remember that easy reading is damn hard writing. And so if something is easy to read, thank that person for doing the work and making it easy to read. I'll shut up.
All right. So a couple of things. I think I posted this before, but I want to make sure that everyone sees this, that Pete Escovedo, Sheila's father, also wrote a memoir that I did not know about until today. So thank you. I just ordered it. My copy's coming. My Life in the Key of E. And I think somewhere, and then Chris followed that up and said, Santana has a funny Miles Davis story in his autobiography, but interestingly, not much about the Escovedos. This is an important comment because if you've read Sheila's book, Sheila talks a lot about Santana because Santana, like her father, was in Santana's band at one point. So like there are a lot of Escovedo Santana connections. I won't go into anything more because you just should read Sheila's book. I mean, you should read Sheila's book regardless. And I hope I had heard that she was going to do a second book, but I haven't I don't know if that's still in the works or not, but if you're into Santana, it would be interesting to read Sheila's book. And I'm assuming, Chris Barnett, you tell me if I'm wrong, that I would assume that Pete talks about Santana in his memoir. So if you want some like more Santana knowledge. Okay, so we're gonna keep it moving because we still got a lot to talk about, and I'm surprised our timekeeper hasn't given us like the oh, because I stopped sharing my screen. So give me 1 second. I was like, it's not working. Okay, so in New York City right now, the Charlie Parker Jazz Festival is in full effect. It started last night with Christian McBride, and today and tomorrow, so it's free. And yesterday and today was in Harlem, Marcus Garvey Park, and on Sunday it's going to be in Tompkins Square Park. I actually don't. It says Minnesota. I don't know where that is. Tompkins Square Park. But anyway, last night I went to go see Christian McBride, big band. So it was a lot of people on stage, like a true big band. It was amazing. And he played a song called Thermo by Freddie Hubbard, which I had never heard in my entire life, because my trumpet of choice is Lee Morgan. so here's the deal. As a Prince fan, Prince puts out so much music that it is very hard to give your listening time to other artists.
Yep. Yep.
And so there are several people I would love to do a deep dive in. Number one would be the whole P-Funk universe, but that's like a whole other massive connected universe. And I've listened to some of the albums, but not all of the albums like I have for Prince. And so like when it comes to jazz, I have some Miles Davis albums, but I don't have all of them. But the only person that I really am trying to get everything is for Lee Morgan. And I have John Coltrane. I have Pharoah Sanders. I have a large jazz collection, but to really get into jazz, and don't even start talking about the jazz vocalists. Like I have all of Sarah Vaughan's box sets. I have some Ella box sets. I have all of Billie Holiday's box sets. I'm a huge Shirley Horn fan. But it's just like it gets so hard because you can't kind of cheat on Prince because Prince, it just keeps like he was just so darn prolific, and he's still prolific, that I haven't really listened to everything at the level that I should for Prince. So like okay, I say all that to say that I had never heard this song called Thermo by Freddie Hubbard, who is one of the, best, like most famous trumpeters in jazz. And my music card should be revoked. But it's just like, it's so many hours in the day where you can listen to all these jazz greats and they record it like Prince, like up the wazoo. So anyway, played an amazing version of Thermo with the big band. And there is the original Thermo, and then there's also another Thermo that I have in. I actually put all this music in the accompanying playlist for this week, so you can hear different versions of Thermo. And then in addition to that, the opening act last night was actually Jerry Allen's son, who was a pianist, a jazz pianist. And his father was also a musician. And he opened up with a Wayne Shorter track called In the Shadow, something. I can't remember what it's called, but I have that in, and I had never heard that before because Wayne Shorter is on one of my favorite albums of all time, Search for the New Land by Lee Morgan. But I won't go into my jazz head because that would be too much. So it's just like, it's so much music out there that I still haven't listened to. But to make a long story short, Christian McBride was amazing. Wallace Ronnie Jr. was also amazing. So anytime you get to see some jazz for free, do it. It was great. And tonight, yes.
Because since you mentioned the Charlie Parker Festival, do either of you, or do you like or dislike Clint Eastwood's Bird. Have you seen it, and do you like or dislike it?
I actually haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
Okay, so if you guys have never seen the Clint Eastwood movie, it's directed by Clint Eastwood, Bird. So I'm gonna give you two things just quick. I love it. Spike Lee hates it. So that's why I was asking. I love it just for what it is. Spike Lee didn't like it because he felt that it focused too much on Bird's drug abuse. And for me, I don't think that it did. But remember that I'd also read Miles Davis's autobiography, and Miles is candid about both he and Bird's drug abuse. And how can I say this and keep it PG-13? There's a description where Miles Davis talks about Bird. It's Bird, it's Miles, and it's a woman in the back seat of a cab. And that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
And you have to read the Miles Davis book. But let's just say Bird was doing some things that Miles wasn't happy about, and Miles mentioned it, like they're all in the back seat, and Bird's response was, well, turn your head the other damn way, then. So,
let me ask you. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. That's it.
So I'm curious about. I remember hearing about this vaguely when it came out, and I don't know what year this came out. And I don't know a lot about Bird. I mean, I understand the significance, and I've heard the sort of the mainstream things a person would hear. But I'm curious if it sounds like you are a fan and you knew a lot about him. How was that movie perceived when it came out? Like, was it show things you didn't know about Bird, or was it just like, oh, this is a watered down? I'm just curious, like as a sort of a fan, how did you take that movie? How was it perceived?
It didn't. If you were a fan, again, my parents, and Bird, my father, there was nothing in the movie that I did not know.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that probably, yeah. It didn't make a lot of money, but the critics liked it. So it didn't make a lot of money at the box office, but the critics liked it. And then once it came to HBO, it kind of got a following once it got to HBO, and then people started watching it again once it got to HBO. I would say that what I liked about it was that it showed that Bird was at the forefront of creating a new sound. And so you do see that. And you see the fact, no spoilers, but that Bird there's a moment in the scene, and it's fictionalized, but Bird really kind of goes at a rock and roll saxophone player, and the Bird basically says to the guy, he takes the guy's horn, and the guy's like, why you take my horn? And Bird said, I wanted to see if it could play more than 3 notes. So it was really, and that Bird early on was not liked by a lot of the established types. Yes, and Forrest Whitaker plays Bird. And so I would say that if you've not seen it, go check it out, and then you can come back and say, hey, do you agree with Spike that it focuses too much on the drug issue? Or for me, it was, since there was nothing in there that I didn't already know, I didn't see where the drug thing kind of over. But then also, I don't think that movie, and I may need to go check it, I don't know if that movie is longer than 1 hour and 30 minutes. So that's the other limitation you have, is trying to tell a movie, trying to create a movie about somebody who was so expansive in like 1 hour and 30, hour and 40. If it's longer than 1 hour and 40, I'll admit that, but I don't remember it being.
Actually, according to the internet, it's 2 hours and 41 minutes.
No, I don't remember being that long. Unless 2 hours and 41 minutes.
That's what, yeah.
Is that Bird the one that was by Clint Eastwood?
Yeah. That's what it says on Wikipedia. That's where it says when I'm doing the Googles.
something got to be wrong. I don't remember a 3-hour Bird movie. Now I may be wrong. Maybe I just liked it that much. But yeah. I don't remember it being. I don't know if that's a typo. And we'll go with Wikipedia for now because I don't want to contradict. I just don't remember it being that long.
I'm gonna go to IMDb and see what they say.
You know, I asked that question because I am so looking forward to Michael, the movie coming out next year, and it's and I think it's time, and it will be time because they're making the movie, but to see sort of the cultural iconic artists, what I would say from my time, given the real sort of big budget, hopefully thorough look and presentation to a new generation. It'll be interesting to see how people perceive this Michael movie, and if that will open the door for the eventual Prince, or the big budget mainstream look at this artist that we kind of feel like it's hard to sort of display them in the context of a couple of hours or things. So that's why I was curious how you saw the Bird thing back then, and how people will probably see these movies going forward.
Yeah, IMDb has it at 241 as well. I don't remember it being that long.
Yeah, and actually now that when you first asked that question, I was thinking about Round Midnight. I have never seen Round Midnight, but I actually have seen Bird. And and I only realized that when Lee Christian posted Forrest Whitaker. And one of the things that irked me about the film is that it concentrated on his drug addiction. And I think that's one of the reasons why it got out of my mental Rolodex. And I love Lee Christian put another post in here. I wish I could find it, but I probably won't be able to. Where Lee Christian said that Spike Lee can get a pass because he made Mo Better Blues, which is my favorite Spike Lee movie. Actually, it's Mo Better Blues. I love that film. And my jazz film, Seeley, is Paris Blues, like from 1961. And it's Sidney Poitier with Paul Newman.
Right. Yeah.
Diane Carroll.
Yeah.
If you guys are movie buffs, that film is amazing. Paris Blues from 1961. The other thing I want to say, the thing about last night, it is the Charlie Parker Jazz Festival. I was really disappointed that neither of them, Christian McBride or Wallace Ronnie Jr., played any Charlie Parker. So we're at a Charlie Parker Jazz Festival, but we did not hear a Charlie Parker song. I was really disappointed by that. For those of you who have not heard any Charlie Parker, and I'll add this to the playlist, my favorite Charlie Parker album is Charlie Parker with Strings. I think it is really beautiful. And so I highly recommend that if you want to listen to Charlie Parker for the first time. All right. And let's see.
Quick question. Sure. What do you think about a Man Called Adam with Sammy Davis Jr.?
Sammy Davis Jr. I can't remember. I get that one confused with Anna LaCosta. Is that the one? Which one is the one with Eartha Kitt?
No, that's not the Man Called Adam. Is the really sad one where he plays the jazz musician, and it's basically sad from the word go, and it ends the way you think it's going to end. And like the whole time it's like just sad. But for whatever reason, I like that movie. Like I keep going back to it. Me and Brother Wyatt, we about 6 months ago, we were discussing it, and I actually found it again online and bought the DVD just to have it in my collection again. But it's because when you were talking about that, it does. I will say that it does kind of ring true to the fact that, and I want to say this in a way that I'm being careful, because I don't want to come off as white directors can't tell black stories. But the question becomes, you got to tell the tragedy and you got to tell the negativity, but do you often concentrate on that more than you concentrate on the talent? So when you made the statement about Bird, and then me thinking about A Man Called Adam, which also is a movie that I like, you do wonder, coming through these lenses, when the director is focusing that are certain directors more prone to lean toward the more tragic elements of a black genius rather than the genius of a black genius. And I think that is a question that should be raised early and often. Is also one of the reasons why I think that the movie Beloved about Toni Morrison's novel is so terrible, because the director made it into a ghost story, but Toni Morrison wrote a hate story. Now, for those of y'all, I'm going to connect these quickly because I wrote this in my analysis of Morris Day's book. Morris Day having Prince in that's an old Southern hate device. Prince is not a ghost in Morris Day's book. He's a hate. And a hate, unlike a ghost, is something that exists because it's a spirit that exists because a truth must be told. And so Morris Day actually, and then when I wrote my analysis of the book, Morris Day did it right. And Morris Day had the whole hate construct correct. And so I would wonder if somebody tried to turn Morris Day's book into a movie, would they mess it up the way this director did because he didn't know what Toni Morrison was doing in Beloved? Or would you need a director who knows what a hate is to properly handle what Morris Day does on the page to make it true in the screen? I'll shut up.
Oh, can I just throw in? You don't have to go into, but I would love to at some point hear what you guys think of when the artist makes their own movie, when they are in control of the narrative. And the two that I can sort of think to remember, and sometimes I feel like these movies become lost and forgotten for time, is wasn't it called The Greatest? Where Muhammad plays himself.
Yes.
I remember seeing that as a kid, and I didn't know this. I knew a little bit about Muhammad, but it didn't dawn on me that it was him that he was playing the movie as a child. It freaked me out. I was like, wow. And you don't see that very often. And then the other one, which I saw this a couple weeks ago, JoJo Dancer, Your Life is Calling. Richard Pryor. To me, that's like hardcore. Like, he's showing his own story, and he doesn't shy away from like some of the most craziest stuff to show. Like, I think it starts when he burns himself, and you see him, living in a whorehouse. There's some wild stuff in that movie. I'm curious, when the black genius is in control of the narrative, they don't shy away from, at least in JoJo he didn't shy away from anything. Like,
I'll just add that I think that JoJo Dancer or Richard Pryor executes his vision a little bit better than Muhammad Ali. So I would say that it's JoJo Dancer is a more artistic film. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
I will also add that JoJo Dancer has one of my wife's favorite scenes of all time, which is when the wife played by Debbie Allen confesses that she had an affair, and JoJo drives the car off the cliff. And with Debbie Allen losing my wife still quotes Debbie Allen to this day. I can't, because we want to keep it PG-13. But whenever my wife Monica is extremely angry, that is the moment that she quotes. So if you haven't seen JoJo Dancer, watch it for all that, but watch it for Debbie Allen losing her mind when JoJo Dancer runs that car off the cliff. I'll shut up.
Yeah, I forget Debbie Allen was bad as hell. Like, I mean, still fine, but man, back then I've totally forgot. Like, yeah, I mean, how y'all be talking about these people today? Debbie Allen was one of them. Like, what's that? Shout out to, was it Norm Nix? What's his name?
Norm.
Shout out to Norm Nix. Yeah.
So there's a couple of things. I want to go back to Beloved, and we don't have time because we got like 15 minutes left. I would love to go more into the ghost versus hate. Anyway, make a long story short, I watched Beloved with my grandmother, my mother, and my aunt. And at the end of the movie, my mom and my aunt were like, "What the H did we just watch?" And my grandmother explained it because she knew what was going on. It was amazing. I'll never forget that. She knew exactly what was going on. So I really want to do a deeper dive with you, that maybe me and you, Celie, about why you felt that it was, that the ghost versus the haint, and how you didn't think, only because, like, for me, my grandmother got it, and my grandmother didn't watch movies. Like, she's not a movie watcher. And I don't know even why we watched it together, but because we rarely watch movies like that, because my grandmother wasn't really into movies. But yeah, that's one thing. The other thing is, and I don't want to go, we don't have time for this. One of the things I'm afraid about of the Netflix documentary, if it comes out, is that they're not going to concentrate on Prince as a musician and as an artist. And that there might go, just go into, like the painkillers and stuff for his hip, and, trying to create, like, I just want to hear about Prince, the musician. That's me personally, because, so someone posted yesterday, I think it was Principal on Twitter, this show from the 90s at Bunkers. And I had never seen the clip before, where he joined a local band on stage, and they're playing a Sly Stone song. And Prince did this amazing guitar solo. And someone posted the whole thing posted a link to the whole thing on YouTube. So I go over to YouTube to watch it. And this guy has the nerve to say that Prince wasn't playing guitar. He was like, watch his hands, he's not playing. And luckily somebody was in the chat and said, no, I was actually there that night. Prince was playing the guitar. You don't know what you're talking about. You need to delete your comment, right? So I don't want to live in a world where Prince is reduced to how I feel that Charlie Parker was portrayed in Bird, because Charlie Parker's music was so influential to so many artists that he shouldn't be reduced to that aspect of his humanity. I don't know. And again, we don't really have time to go down this deep dive, but I am really nervous about that, because some people don't even know that Prince is a musician. Like, some people still think that he is an actor, that he acted, air guitared all the stuff in Purple Rain. Like, what world are we living in 2024, where people still think that? And I had conversations with people, not this year, but last year at Celebration, where they didn't even think that Prince was a musician. So I don't know. We got a lot of work to do.
So okay. I like to have documentation when I say something. And Prof Dust has seen it, and a couple of other people see it. And a lot of people didn't even know until I shared the facts that I got from Paisley Park. That's how people know partly that I work with Prince, because of the facts that I got from Paisley Park. When Ava DuVernay was hired to direct the Netflix special, I did not find out until 6-8 months in that my book was being one of the texts for the Netflix special. And the only reason I haven't said it is because I want to find the email from their people, because there was a discrepancy in the book, and they were trying to figure out, hey, you said this happened on this day. And it was the DNA Lounge thing. It was the DNA Lounge thing. And so I talk in my book about when Prince asked, what's the verdict going to be? Is the verdict, what do y'all think the verdict is going to be? And then everybody says guilty. And then Prince launches into no black MFs in the house. So I discussed that. So evidently there was a discrepancy in what they were doing and what was in my book. And they were using that. And so I'm only sharing that, again, because I don't have the email. I can't effing find the email. So because I don't like to say stuff happened, but I'm only sharing that to say that if what you're saying is happening now that they're focusing on other things, that means that somewhere between what Ava DuVernay was doing and what happened later, that focus somehow got changed. But the question is, what we still don't know is why Ava DuVernay left. Because those of you who have read my book only talks about artistry. Like, my book only talks about, which is why I couldn't understand why they were using my book, because again, my book is basically an analysis of songs. Now, it puts those songs into social political context. But to now hear that the estate is saying we're not going to release it because it's focusing on a lot of negative things. My question is, when did that turn happen? When did it go from Ava DuVernay using these sources to really focus on the artistry of Prince to these really kind of negative things? How did that happen? Did it happen with the switching of the two directors? So and I'll stop there because, again, I like to have documents and I don't like to sound like I'm talking. And I've been trying to find that email, and I just can't find that email of when she was working on it, when the person emailed me and said, hey, just so you know, we're using your book as one of the texts, and we need to ask you a question about what you have in your book about the DNA Lounge show. That's it. I'll shut up.
All right, so we're going to move on just because that is like such a can of worms that we're not going to go into because we got several things I want to talk about really quickly. First of all, I've been talking about Corey Henry all this year, so I'm super excited. Got my Corey Henry shirt on. I am ready. He's going to be in New York City tonight. If you're in the New York City area, you need to go see Corey Henry, especially if you need to be some reviving, some rejuvenation, some spiritual uplift. He is going to be there with his band, the Funk Apostles, because sometimes he's not with the Funk Apostles. And the last time I saw him, he was actually doing church. I mean, he literally was performing in a church in Brooklyn. And it was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had in my life. So I am so excited about Corey Henry tonight. And then tomorrow night, he's going to be in Boston. So just want to let you guys know that. And then also tonight, for those of you who are in Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm born and raised in Alabama, and I saw my first show in Birmingham, Alabama, Prince, 1999 tour. Tonight is Layla Hathaway, and tomorrow night she's going to be in New Orleans. So again, support real music and real musicians. I'm super excited about this benefit for Ronnie Drayton by Living Color. Is going to be on Tuesday in New York City, because it's not only Living Color, it's going to be Nona Hendryx. And if you don't know who Nona Hendryx is, you definitely need to do your Googles. And it's also going to be one of my favorite bands, 24/7 Spies. And I haven't seen them in a long time. Last time was in Philly, probably 10, 15 years ago. And 24/7 Spies is one of the bands I've seen the most in my lifetime when I was in my college years. Love them. So I hope that you'll come out and support this amazing event to celebrate Ronnie Drayton, who passed away recently. All right. Bilal has released a new single, Sunshine. I love it. It's a really great uplifting song. And he has a brand new album coming out in September, when he just dropped another album just a month ago, Live at Glass House. So we've been talking about Live at Glass House. Now he's going to drop a studio album. It is a good year to be alive. You get 2 Bilal albums in 1 year. I don't know what to do with myself. And he is going to also be touring, and he is going to be at the Music Hall of Williamsburg on October 10th. He's going to be in Philly at Rural Cafe Live, one of my favorite venues in Philly, on October 9th. He's going to be at City Winery in Atlanta, GA. He's going to be in Seattle, Michael. October 25th at Tractor Tavern. I don't know. Do you know anything about Tractor Tavern, the venue?
I've heard of it.
Okay. All right. So please support Bilal. I really, really appreciate it. And then we're also going to have my beloved Andre 3000. I had like an anxiety-ridden week this week, and I put on my New Blue Sun record, and I calmed myself down. So I'm so excited that he's going to be performing at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. We call it affectionately as BAM here. And it's going to be October 25th and October 26th, because a second show has been added. In the purple world, there's somebody called Michael Dean who did an amazing video this week. Celie, talk about it.
So if you have not seen this video of Brother Dean's top 10 Prince albums of all time, this episode is so great, I had to write about it in the newsletter. And what makes Brother Dean's list wonderful, great. One of the best discussions of Prince is that Michael Dean, and if y'all in the chat know different, correct me. Michael Dean did something with his list that I've never seen anybody else do before. And that is Michael Dean accounted for every slice in Prince's artistic pie chart. Michael Dean didn't just give you, these are my favorite albums, or these are the banging albums. No, what Michael Dean did is that his list gives us Prince the solo artist, Prince the songwriter, Prince the super producer, Prince the jazz fusion guy, Prince the band member. No matter what you think of Brother Dean's list, what you get from this list is a holistic, total understanding of the expansive genius of Prince. And for that alone, brother, I salute you for working to expand Prince's legacy, working to expand what we know of Prince, rather than working to limit Prince to one album or one moment in time. So kudos to you, brother. Those of you who've seen it, say, I'm glad. If you haven't seen it, please check it out, because that is probably one of the most well-rounded presentations of Prince that I have seen. I'll shut up.
Wow. Thank you, man. That's a lot coming from you. So I appreciate that. And shout out to everybody in the chat who's seen it as well. Thank you. You know, the whole point of it was just to give a list that was my sort of personal favorites, throw in a few that I kind of want to shine some light to a little bit. But I think, you know, it was just what I listened to at that time. So the list could change. And what it spawned is a lot of great people putting their lists in the comments and seeing some other different ways of listening to Prince's music too. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's also in the accompanying playlist, but all of you should be subscribed already to Prince Podcast. So if you're not subscribed to @MDean on YouTube, you should be. So let's just correct that right now and go ahead and subscribe so you can catch up on all things Michael Dean. And see what we got after that. I love the little Prince in the corner, just FYI, because it is sexy. Love sexy.
You had to have some fly Prince in there still, like, walk. Let me walk on him real quick. You did.
Yeah. So, I'm hearing doubles, but that's okay. So this is the playlist for this week. There's a lot of stuff in it. I'm going to add even more stuff in it. I'm going to add a lot of the trailers from a lot of the films that we've been talking about today. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I can't believe we're actually ending on time. So there's more to this playlist than what you see here. And because I got my weeks messed up, thank you so much, Christina. I'm not going to show you what we're talking about next week because we already started. So how are you going to take us out, Michael Dean?
Again, another great week, another great assembly of like-minded people. Thank you to Celie joining us. Thank you, D'Angela. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for keeping us alive and keeping the conversation going and contributing. But like I always say, work it like a job. We'll see you next time. Peace.